Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 855, written by Abnormal, when reality was slowed to 0.5 speed. My partner and I were having dinner at a decently respectable restaurant in New York City. Won't give the exact name, but there are blue umbrellas involved. If you know it, you know it. Anyhow, the dinner is going well. We weren't together that long at this point. This event happened a few years ago, before the notable world event. I was very focused because my intention was to propose to her after dinner was served, even though we had only been together for a few months. I know it's hasty, but I knew she was the one. I had been to the restaurant before, and the food was exceptional, maybe the best wild striped bass I've ever eaten. The only downside is the wait is long. Still, worth it. So we're sitting at the table, discussing our future together, life plans. Marriage had never been broached before, but it wasn't hard to tell that it was on both of our minds. Spoiler alert, we did end up getting married. Still together now, very happy. She revealed later on that she was 99% certain I was going to propose to her that night, and was surprised when I didn't. We'll get to that. Here's the glitch. Dinner was finally being served, and as the waitress is walking away, time doesn't stop, but it's slowed down, notably so. I'd have to guess by a factor of 50% at the very least. It persisted for a while, hard to put a time frame on it exactly because of the distortion, but for a minute of real time seems about right. I was sitting there, feeling totally normal, but observing reality in slow motion, each step of the waitress heading back inside, my partner slowly cutting her bass and then squeezing some lemon on it. Then as suddenly as this weirdness started, it all ended, swirled back into normal time, and nothing like this has ever happened again. I never told anyone. My partner was confused because she tried talking to me, but it was hard to even understand her as her voice sounded like Darth Vader to me. I just said that I was feeling a little stressed. I ended up not proposing to her that night because of this. I did it later in Central Park instead. Was the universe giving me a warning not to propose then? Also, I know that stress can trigger adrenaline release, and I know that adrenaline can alter time perception a bit for sure, increasing reaction time. I've played a lot of football over my life, and I've entered that zone, the flow, where things appear to happen slower. But this was an extraordinarily extreme version of that. Case notes for file 855, the time when reality slowed to half speed. You are correct that adrenaline can supercharge our brains. That would be the best way to put it. So it reacts faster to stimuli. It's all in perception as well. It's like the hummingbird will perceive reality moving slower just because its neurons are firing faster for that specific part of processing. Also the case for houseflies, which is why you can't really swat them away easily. Everything we do, even a very quick slap, is extremely slow to them. And also they react to the change in air pressure, which is a neat advantage for them. Very annoying. But as you correctly point out, adrenaline shouldn't be responsible for anything remotely like this. I mean, I've had high bursts of adrenaline as well, and yeah, time does seem to sort of slow down a bit, but as you describe it, half speed. And it clearly was an actual temporal anomaly because even the voice from your girlfriend was slowed down significantly. To that extent, yeah, if a woman's voice becomes Darth Vader, you know something weird is going on. Definitely must have been a temporal anomaly. Very odd though that it only seemed to affect you, not your then girlfriend, now wife, or anyone else in the restaurant. So why was it isolated purely to you? I don't know. That's very peculiar. Case file number 856, written by Butterbeer. The Pulsating Reality. I'm an intuitive person, always have been since I was a kid. I'm also the outgoing type, as my friends describe anyways. I like being the center of attention. As a result of that, I tend to have large groups of people around at my place just to hang out. Oddly, I don't like drinking alcohol. Maybe the only extrovert alive who doesn't partake of that distilled curse. I say that so everyone understands I was entirely sober at the time of this glitch. It was an evening party, had all of the accoutrements prepared. Chips, dip, salsa, even made deviled eggs because I'm a fancy pants like that now, at the ripe old age of 26. We're in the living room just chatting away, had some music on, but not eardrum popping loud, just a little bit of ambience to set the tone. I'm talking to my close friend, we'll call her M, and in the corner of my eye I could see the TV, only the TV was warped. The best way I can describe it is curved or bent, yet the geometry still fit the volume of space it was taking up. My brain couldn't process it and I felt lightheaded. So at this point, most people would think, oh, medical issues must be, right? I have tumors all over my brain. Here's why it's so strange. Other people in this party also witnessed something similar. Although none of them described it as I did, they didn't say they felt lightheaded or that the TV looked bent or curved, just blurred at the edges for a few seconds. Lowered resolution is how one of my gamer friends described it. So what on earth happened? Something in the environment here, like a gas leak that affected our mental states? Maybe. But there was no gas leak in the area reported and I'm still alive. Didn't smell anything. And this whole ordeal lasted seconds and never happened again. This was weeks ago. We all talked about this right after, but most of my friends dismissed it quickly as some random anomaly that couldn't be explained. Let's say they're not really into questioning things deeply. More fun to let loose and think about fornication and food, I guess. Mysteries of the universe be damned. Case notes for file 856, The Pulsating Reality. So I like that you're trying to figure it out, offering solutions like a gas leak or something like that, or medical issues, but sometimes deductive logic doesn't get us all the way there because there are variables we don't know to deduct. And that's the one flaw of deductive reasoning. For Sherlock and everyone else, if there's variables you simply don't know and can't infer, it's not going to help you get there. What makes me think this is so interesting is that you perceived geometry that wasn't quite compatible with reality, and yet still fit in, but everyone else noticed an anomaly but didn't notice the geometry. It's like your brain was able to perceive at a higher dimensional level, at least slightly, more than anyone else. Something in the environment unlocked this view, I guess you could say. For some, they could appreciate it and perceive it like you, and others they couldn't. And I think to perceive it at that level required more brain power, which is why you felt lightheaded after. It also points out the fact that our brains operates on a lot of fundamental axioms and assumptions, I guess you could say, algorithms. It reminds me often of that white and gold dress or blue and black. The dress was really blue and black, but because of the lighting and different environmental cues that our brains automatically infer as variables, some people would perceive it, I think it was 30% would perceive it as white and gold. I saw a video that mentioned that a study done comparing the differences between those that saw it black and blue versus white and gold, those that saw it white and gold had a difference in pupil size. So there was an actual physical difference involved. It's not just perception, but also the amount of information being received, and that can be processed. So ultimately, yeah, I think there was some anomaly in the environment that enabled anyone in the area the opportunity to witness at a higher dimensional level, but not everyone's brain was capable, but yours was at least to some extent, and as a result, you perceive this geometry that didn't quite fit, and everyone else just saw kind of like blurred pixels. That's an apt way to describe it by your gamer friend. Case file number 857, written by Anonymous. For one day, no one existed. This is one of these events that when you write it down or even replay it in your own mind, it seems like it shouldn't be real. I don't blame anyone who can't believe this because frankly, I don't buy it myself. Yet the memories are there. I live in a sizable city. Woke up one morning, afternoon. I have one roommate. Felt normal if groggy, but then that's normal for me as I slept after a late night gaming session. Morning routine, I wake up, check my emails, then take a shower and brew up a coffee, which is quick. I use one of those AeroPresses. Nothing abnormal besides my roommate not being around. He works weekdays. This was Sunday. He didn't go out much on the weekends, but I figured he went to get lunch or something like that. Now I'm showered, coffee in hand, heading back to my PC to scroll through Twitter. First thing I realized was that the internet was down. Emails didn't load before, but in my groggy state, I didn't really care or think about it. Down on my cell too, no data. If the internet is down on one's phone, unless there's a natural disaster, that's usually a really bad sign. I figured something major might have happened, like an attack on the country, but everything was quiet, no storms or anything either. Took a look out of the window and saw nothing, but I actually mean nothing, or rather no one. Like I mentioned, I live in a decent-sized city, in an apartment complex with a window overlooking a street. Not an arterial boulevard or anything like that, but to see no one was very odd at midday on a bright shiny afternoon. At this point, my heart's beating faster. All that's racing through my mind now is something super serious happened. I put my shoes on and went outside to check. There's nothing. It was so quiet, the most disturbing quietness I've ever experienced. Not a soul in sight. No one walking, no one in cars, no businesses around this residential road. So I ran down towards the main strip and still no one. The entire city seemed to be dead. There was electricity though, so I don't know what the hell is going on. I have no radio, no data on my cell phone, no calls going through, no internet. So all I could do is roam the city looking for anyone, which is what I did, all day. The wind was blowing, the sun is shining normally, sun moved across the sky, the day progressed, time progressed. Then it got dark, streetlights came on as they usually would. It's just that not another human existed, and I couldn't understand why. I was panicking so much I felt sick beyond words, like I was pulled into a waking nightmare of purgatory. Did I die? Is this my hell? Well, I never got any answers. I eventually passed out, probably from exhaustion or dehydration or just sheer stress. I wasn't home, I was in the middle of downtown in my city when I went out. Then I awoke on the sidewalk at 6:03 a.m. Phone still had battery, which is why I remember the time exactly, and I could hear some bustling before I opened my eyes. Couple cars on the road. Everything was normal again. Data back on my phone. So I went back home. Roommate was already wondering where the hell I had been. He had tried to call me, tried to message me on Facebook Messenger, but nothing went through. He had checked my room and saw a cold cup of coffee, but no me anywhere. I didn't dare tell him what happened because it's insane. Did I go insane? Was I given a glimpse of hell? What the freaking duck happened? Case notes for file 857. For a day, no one existed. Yeah, so this is sort of like being pulled into the world of I Am Legend, minus the extremely powerful and terrifying zombies, so that's a plus. Now, was this purgatory? I don't think so. I think if something like purgatory or hell exists, there certainly wouldn't be bright sunny days involved and electricity still functioning. That is the most interesting aspect to this, the anomaly there of there was electricity involved, still operational in the city, yet the cell service wasn't. Or I guess maybe the cell service was, wherever this place was, it's just that your phone wasn't compatible with the network. But I guess everything was functional. It's sort of like you were in a transient state between two parallel universes, where you were still interacting with the world, it's just that your device wasn't compatible with that universe's code that's required to connect to the network. Yours didn't have it because it's different in this parallel universe, even though everything was more or less the same. And I think people were there, it's just that you weren't able to see or physically, you were basically a kind of ghost or echo, transient between universes, but still able to interact with matter. You made a coffee, and your roommate saw that it was cold, so you really did make it, and you had the cup and the coffee in it. You really did take a shower, and you were stuck between universes. I guess you could sort of call that purgatory, but not in a biblical sense. I don't think it was a punishment. I think it was a mistake, an error. And those are my notes for tonight. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you're new, subscribe. Plenty more videos to come. Forever, I presume. And that's Kinetic Symphony, signing off.